virtual open house. We're so glad you could join us here today. Now, unlike a real open house where we would have events running throughout the day, today it's condensed. However, we have a number of different presenters for you today, and we are sure you will find it very informative. At the end of each of the presentations, you'll have the opportunity to ask questions, and you can do that through the chat feature here. Now, if we don't get to all of your questions, at the end of the program, feel free to reach out to us. And you can do that in a couple of ways. You can call us in admissions at 802-387-6718, or send us an email at admissions@landmark.edu. Now, of course, today's event will not be a substitute for an actual live experience. We encourage you to come visit us. And we have open houses that are running throughout the year, and we have 2 in the fall. And you can find that information about them on our website at landmark.edu/open house. Now today, what we have in store for you is, following the welcome, you get to hear from Dr. Gail Gibson Sheffield, Vice President for Academic Affairs, who'll tell you about academic life here at the college. That'll be followed by Michael Luciani, Vice President for Student Affairs, to talk about student life. Then you'll hear from Admissions and Financial Aid from Aaron Craw, Associate Director for Financial Aid, and Sydney Rubb, Director of Admissions. Following that, we have a couple of our students, as well as a surprise visitor that'll be with them, who will talk a little bit about Landmark College from a student perspective. At the end of that, we'll conclude our program for today. Now, for those of you who are joining us for the first time and don't know much about Landmark College, we are the choice in the United States for students who learn differently. Now, all of our students here have a documented or diagnosed learning disability, and we offer a variety of support programs. And you'll hear more about that today. But again, if you have any questions that are not covered today, please feel free to reach out to us. We want this to be a fun and lively event. So are you ready to begin? Let's throw it over now to Dr. Gail Gibson Sheffield, Vice President for Academic Affairs. Gail, take it away.
Hello, everyone. My name is Gail Gibson Sheffield. I am the Vice President for Academic Affairs. Thanks, Kevin, for introducing me. Today, I'm asked to just go briefly over our academic programs, talk to you about what really makes Landmark College different, how our model is different, how our academic support is structured. We'll talk a little bit about the kinds of degrees that we offer here and other opportunities that students have while they're at Landmark College. And then we'll talk a little bit about some of the outcomes, some of the ways that we know that we're good at what we're doing. And we have a very good track record at helping students be successful in the ways they define. For starters, Landmark College is different from the get-go. We are different by design because we use researched practices across our curriculum. We value the whole student, both what happens in the classroom and what happens outside of the classroom. We have a great relationship between academic affairs and student affairs and really create a whole experience. The faculty who teach here not only are credentialed and experts in their field of interest, but they also have a very strong interest in what works for students who learn differently. They have an intensive training program, those that have subject matter expertise outside of education, and they work with mentors, lots of resources to make sure that what they're doing in the classroom works for your student. The class itself is different because it's smaller. On average, our class size is about 10 or 12 students. It can range anywhere from 6 to maybe 15. That's very rare. And what happens in the classroom is each faculty member designs their course for what makes sense for the students that are in it. So you don't just regurgitate the same course, the same section over and over again. You actually approach the teaching method in a way that has different assessments or different learning strategies, different supplemental materials for the students that are in the classroom. So if we've got students who have some issues with executive function, then we organize around that. If there are other issues that need to be addressed, the faculty member can recustomize the course to make it work for the student. The classes are longer than the average size class, so all of the extra time that a lot of students need is built into the experience. But we do all of this without lowering the bar of academic rigor. The outcomes have to stay as high as any other accredited college out there, because in the end, it doesn't matter if you're successful in class. It only matters if you're successful with what you're going to do with that information after you leave college. And so we hold the bar high, and we make sure that students have the tools they need to meet those expectations. It is a lot about the relationship between the faculty and the students, but it doesn't end there. We have a network of support resources, both on the academic side and on the student life side, that work collaboratively to identify students' challenges and students' strengths. And facilitating all of that is the relationship a student has with his or her advisor. The advisor is the one who can pull all of that information that might happen in academic support or in social pragmatics or in the housing environment and be able to say, well, if that worked in this situation, why don't you apply it to that situation? The advisor helps make those connections to help the student move successfully through the college experience. The advisor also works closely with the residential dean, and my colleague Michael Luciani will talk more about that end in a minute. Many students come to Landmark College not knowing exactly what they want to do in college, or even if college is right for them. Many students just choose to come to strengthen their academics, maybe their study skills, and get a foundation so that they can go back to some other college or achieve what they're looking for somewhere else. That's fine. That's part of what we define as a student success. We call that a bridge experience, and whether it's Bridge or any other program, the first step is taking our Perspectives in Learning course. That Perspectives in Learning course helps students develop their own self-understanding about where their strengths and weaknesses are. It helps them understand what their legal responsibilities are or their rights and how to advocate that. We focus a lot on metacognition, being able to understand how you approach a situation, what works for you, what tools work for you, and how to ask for those tools in other environments. And then as part of Bridge, students will take supplemental course materials like college writing or other kinds of courses that can keep them on track towards the degree they want. That's where we started, is offering that kind of support so that students could be successful in college. But what we learned was that many students actually wanted more. They wanted to earn a degree at Landmark College. So that's why we started offering associate's degrees. We offer associate degrees in liberal studies, of course, with concentrations in a wide variety of areas to be a strong foundation for where the student may want to go next. But we also offer associate degrees in business studies, computer science, and in life sciences. Many students were really happy with the associate's program and liked the support we provided to get them to the bachelor's degree. There's weird noises happening in here. I think they're trying to mess with me. So there's a storm brewing outside of our office right now here in Putney, Vermont. So that's some of the noise that we're hearing. But we're all good here in the virtual world. So as I was saying, the associate's degree led to our bachelor's degrees. And we are very happy that since we started offering bachelor's degrees, we've added a new program every year. So our foundation bachelor's degree is in liberal studies. That's an integrative studies kind of approach, where really, for the most part, a student designs their own focus and can really develop what they want to do with a bachelor's degree through that program. But since then, we've also added studio art, computer science, psychology, and this fall, we're adding communication and entrepreneurial studies. Next fall, we're hoping to bring on a Bachelor of Science in Life Science with a possible concentration in either environmental science or life science. So we are very excited by that direction. And as a result of becoming a baccalaureate institution, we've been able to bring on a lot of other kinds of support systems. One of the things that stays true throughout is that relationship with an advisor. In that first year, the advisor is meeting with a student on a weekly basis. They are coordinating all of the academic support and helping the student develop for themselves a plan to be able to use those support systems. As the student moves through the program, they also develop more autonomy, more ability to manage their own schedules. And so then the amount of time that they meet with the advisor may step back a little bit, depending on the needs of the student. once a student has completed their associate's degree, if they stay with us, they move from that sort of developmental advising over to working with a faculty in the subject matter that they're interested in as a mentor. So that's a mentorship kind of advising that helps the student get ready for the career path moving forward. Throughout all of this, in addition to the advisor, students also have access to success coaches. These coaches help work on individual kinds of situations, like how do I schedule use my alarm clock better to get to class on time. These kinds of things that can trip up a student along the way, coaches help the student define for themselves what path they can use to face their own challenges. In addition to the advising and the coaching, we also provide a very substantial amount of resources for career connections. We originally did a lot of work in this area around helping students to transfer to other colleges, and we still do that because many of our students do want to move on to another college. But as we became a baccalaureate institution, we realized that we also needed to provide a lot more professional opportunities and the opportunities for students to develop their own professionalism throughout the college experience. So we offer readiness coaching and on-campus employment situations and other kinds of readiness courses to help a student really understand what it takes to be in a professional environment. We also have a variety of internships offered here on campus and across the country at some really fantastic partnership organizations like Hasbro and the Vermont Genetics Network and in other places, Chase Manhattan, all of these kinds of groups that are willing to work with us and wanting to work with us because they're trying to increase the amount of neurodiversity they have in their own environments. So we collaborate and partner with other employers to help students find what fits for them and to give them those kinds of work experiences. So far, we have placed over 130 interns, and we're really proud of the work that they're doing. All baccalaureate students are required to do some kind of alternative experience in their program, either an internship or a study abroad experience. This summer, we sent students on our study abroad to Japan, Ireland, Botswana, Scotland. These are our courses, our faculty working with our students. And believe me, that's what you want, because unlike the other colleges that outsource it, our students have some really interesting challenges when they take to traveling internationally. And so our team knows how to work with them. But they're offering 4-credit courses in these environments. Right now, for example, we have students in Botswana working with one of our lead environmental scientists, tagging lions and working with big game in Botswana. That's a really amazing experience that our students get to take advantage of, and nobody else gets that chance. How do we know we're successful? Well, we define our success by how a student decides success. So we think 80% of our students successfully achieve their goals for coming to Landmark College. What do I mean by that? Well, many of our students do come here and decide that they just want to strengthen their skills and move on. So about 20% of our student body will successfully transfer to another college without completing a degree, because that's what they wanted to do. Another 40% actually complete the associate's degree, and that trend is rising as we bring on more curricular options for them. Those students who complete the associate's degree are transferring to colleges across the country. We are a fully accredited college, and our courses transfer very well, especially in the general education areas. Those students who earn an associate's degree typically take 2 to 3 years to complete their bachelor's degree somewhere else, and that's right on track. So we know most of that of their program that they're taking here does transfer to another college. And then an additional 20%, and again, that trend is rising as we are bringing on more baccalaureate programs, are completing their bachelor's degree with us. We also know we're successful because of what happens with those bachelor's degrees. This is new for us. We have we graduated our first baccalaureate class in 2016. Since then, we've graduated an additional 81 students. In that 2016 cohort, 82% of our student body, of our graduates, were placed in a job of their choice within a year. That's a fantastic stat because it compares to the national average for students of traditional age graduating with a bachelor's degree for the same time period. Of those, that initial class, it should be noted that those that weren't employed in a work environment were either in graduate school or doing some professional volunteering work. And some we don't know where they are because they're college students. They didn't tell us. But we're feeling really proud of the work that we're doing, successfully placing students onto the career path and the educational path that they want to go on. Are there any questions that I can answer for you?
Yeah, we have a keyboard question.
Okay.
Can you provide more information on what comprehensive support looks like? How much help will my daughter get in and outside of classes?
So the question's about comprehensive support and what it looks like. So that was part of what I was talking about when we think about that combination of the faculty's time. So the faculty have extended time in the classroom. They also provide faculty office hours. There's also an academic support center that many students actually schedule into their day to be able to get additional professional help in the DCAS center. This is not a student-run program. This is professional educators that are working in our academic support center. We also have discipline-related support centers, again, run by the faculty who teach the course in areas such as math and business and computer science. So there's a comprehensive support network within academics itself. But when we talk about comprehensive support, we are talking about the whole student. We're talking about that relationship between student affairs and academic affairs that says that your RD, your resident dean, is also there to provide you some support about some of the social issues that you might be facing that are challenging you, whether you can actually get better at knowing when to turn that video game off and so you get to class on time. And all of that networking happens through a computer system we call Student Central, where information about students is shared, and then the advisor and the RD can look at what's happening and provide some direct support to the students to help them be more successful going forward. We also, in terms of when a student gets challenged, we have a three-tier system where if there's a warning or anything that a faculty member or someone sees, they can raise a flag. And then if they get 2 flags, then they get into an academic intervention team where a comprehensive group of people from both academics affairs and student affairs talk about what's challenging that student and give them a plan moving forward. Family members are informed of this process as it goes, so we recognize that our parents have been very involved in their students' educational experience, and we don't expect that to turn off just when they come to college. So if a student is getting additional help or needs additional help in certain areas, the parents are informed. Any other questions, Mark?
We have a related question on Facebook. My son has a hard time managing his day. Is there support for him in that way?
Okay, so the question is about managing the day, and I think that there's a number of different ways that we provide that level of support. For the most part, we are working for a student to be independently operating their day, but we do work with students through coaching. That's one great area to identify where some of the stumbling areas might be. Again, the residence life can talk about some of the challenges that the students face. The advisor can work with establishing a plan that a student can keep up with to try to map out and better schedule their time. There are things we won't do. We won't knock on their door and take their hand and walk them to class, but we will recognize when, if they're not able to get out of their room and come to class, that won't be lost on us, and we'll be able to reach out and, again, as I said, provide an academic intervention that will put a plan in place to help a student address those needs for themselves. Any other questions? They're all talking over there. Yes?
Could you tell us a little bit more about the executive function coaching they're asking?
Executive function coaching. So we have certified coaches who work directly with students on specific issues. So if a student has trouble managing their day, for example, they may go to a coach and say, I'm just struggling with this. The coach won't provide the answer, but the coach will work with the student to help that student identify what has worked for them in the past in different areas, when do they feel successful, and then help them develop a plan for themselves to transfer those skills over to be more successful in on that task. So coaching is not something that is a long-term issue. It's usually designed to help address a specific need that the student is facing, but a student can come back and be a part of it and take advantage of coaching as long as they're at Landmark. and they do. Our coaching center is located in our DCAS center, and so it's easily accessible for students to sign up for appointments and to be able to work through those problems to help them identify different strategies that will help them address whatever the challenge is. It could be staying on top of their homework, or it could be managing their schedule during the day to make sure they're in the right classes at the right time. It's those kinds of tasks and those kinds of challenges that coaches will work specifically with students about.
And we have a question about internships.
Internships.
Asking if we offer internships in computer science and cybersecurity, and if so, where?
So we actually have quite a variety of internships that we've offered. In fact, our relationship with Hasbro, we've had some students who have worked in their security areas at Hasbro. We joke about how we're not entirely sure what the student was doing because it was so top secret that they couldn't tell us. But we have a strong computer science program, and we have a number of companies that come here and recruit and talk with especially our computer science students from places like Ernst & Young, UI, Chase, as I said, Hasbro, number of opportunities working in different kinds of related computer science fields. When once you're here during family weekends, we often have a whole presentation that's available around the different opportunities. People start thinking about their internships as early as the first semester if they know what their career goals are. And so you work with Career Central to develop your portfolio, develop your resume, develop your interview skills so that you can get those competitive internships when they come up. We encourage students to practice those skills through on-campus internships as well. So we have a number of computer-related internships that work with our LCERT Center, which is our research arm, and they've done things like designing virtual reality tools for use in statistics and things like that. So you're practicing your interning here in this environment so that you can develop your portfolio and be able to get those more competitive internships later on in your program.
Can you tell us a little bit about support for students who are on the spectrum?
So the question is around students who may have some challenges related to autism. And we have a variety of different approaches, including, of course, pedagogical approaches that we work on. We work a lot, and I think my colleague may be talking a little more about our social pragmatics groups that we have that really help students develop better interpersonal skills and some professional skills. The employment readiness program that I was talking about before is also wonderful for our autistic students because it gives them a chance to really understand a workplace culture and adapt some of their expectations and strategies for working in a professional environment. We also, of course, the academics, from an academic standpoint, many of our faculty have received additional training on being able to really unlock the potential of the students that they're working with. And so within the classroom itself, there's a number of different pedagogical approaches that are used for that population. I think the strongest programs we have both are in advising and social pragmatics. We have an incredible team of professionals who work with them both inside the classroom and outside the classroom to really develop that help students be more self-aware and develop strategies to help them be more successful in towards their goals.
Gail, we have a general question just asking if this webcast will be available after the fact, and it will be available on our Facebook, on the Landmark College Facebook page. And we will also have links available to people by email if they would like to email us at marketing@landmark.edu.
Can they hear you? Because that was a lot. The question that I heard was that that folks are wondering whether or not this presentation is going to be available after, and my understanding is yes. That's what our communication guy just told me on our Facebook page, and then he gave a long URL.
Marketing@landmark.edu.
If you email us at marketing@landmark.edu, then Mark can answer that question for you. We'll provide the link for you. It's his job. I also apologize if when I look over to them and talk, I'm sure my audio goes in and out. The mic is directly in front of me, so I apologize if my sound is in and out.
You talk about support for dyslexia. One of the mothers would like to know.
Support for dyslexia. That's our wheelhouse. That's where we started. Landmark College, it was founded in 1985 predominantly to work with students with different kinds of language-based learning difference. We have a number of different ways of approaching that, including the way a student might get placed when they first come. So if a student has significant reading delay prior to coming to Landmark College, we can tell from the documentation that they're academically capable of being successful, but they're going to need some more help in working with assistive technologies to be able to address, to be able to manage the work to read and to write in that area. So we have a language-intensive curriculum that a student may start in if they're significantly delayed. Beyond that, though, much of the course material that we provide, we provide quite a bit of support using assistive technology. We use Kurzweil, but we're also helping our students be able to use other tools, which students can get support doing that both in the library and in our academic support center, the DCAS, we like to call it. So students can develop and strengthen their skill sets in those areas so that they can improve their own reading and writing ability. And and part of it is just this is what we do. So every faculty member that you're working with will be able to work individually with a student to help them identify their own strengths and develop strategies that work with them. Because every learning challenge is a little bit different, and so we try to customize them as much as possible.
Someone's asking, how is placement done?
Someone's asking, how is placement done? Well, thanks for asking that. So placement refers to, I'm going to show you a little slide here. Let me put this in the right way. Students, let me go in here. Everyone who gets admitted to Landmark College is academically capable of being here, but not necessarily ready to start doing full college level work right off the bat. So the most of the students, like 70% of the students are, and so they go directly into working with a credit program. That may be, most of our students take about 12 credits, that's 4 courses to start on. If the students have some additional needs, maybe they've had a lot of, in high school, they've had a lot of aides or tutors or other kinds of support systems so that they may or may not have as much independent ability to manage the workload, and they may also have some reading challenges, then we put them into what's called the STEP program. This prepares students for the rigor of full credit curriculum while also improving their reading skills, their writing skills, their math skills, and doing some career exploration, helping them identify why they're in college in the first place and what's the right kind of curriculum for them. And then other students might be placed, as I said before, if they have significant reading delays, in our language-intensive curriculum. And that really focuses on using the Wilson Reading System and other assistive technologies to be successful. So the important thing to note is that, as I said, about 70% of our students are actually placed directly into credit. It's more, maybe around 20% or 25% that may end up in STEP, and then even less than that end up in our language-intensive curriculum.
Yeah, we're gonna try adjusting your laptop a little.
My laptop to be adjusted.
Being told that your sound is going a little bit in and out. We think
that I'm too far away from my mic.
Away.
Okay, now I'm scared. So what does this look like? No, further away. Okay. Now I'm getting bigger. Okay, yeah.
One of the families is asking, are there summer programs?
Yes, there's lots of ways to connect with Landmark College. The question was about summer programs. We offer a lot of different kinds of summer programs, and some of those summer programs are offered all around the country. So we have high school programs, we have transition programs, which are for students who have just completed high school and are about to go into college. We have visiting college programs, so students who are currently in college and are interested in just trying to strengthen their study skills before they go back to their own college. We also offer a number of programs, as I said, in sort of short-term transitions in different areas, including in Colorado and California, and anyplace else, Kevin?
There'll be more being added.
And yeah, there's more being added all the time, because we recognize that we're trying to help students be able to at least get that foundation, that ability to do that metacognition, to understand what their strengths are, what their rights are, and help them develop their own study skills to be more successful. And so we do that in a lot of different ways. Okay, so I think I'm done. I really appreciate your time and that you gave us today. I am moving on now to introduce Michael Luciani, who's the Vice President for Student Affairs, and he's going to be talking about that side of the house. Michael, welcome to my chair.
Thank you, Gail, and hello, everyone. My name is Michael Luciani. I'm the Vice President for Student Affairs at Landmark College. And my goal over the next 25 minutes or so is to really explain to you what a student's life is going to look like when they live at Landmark College. It's probably one of the biggest things outside of the academic programs that we offer that students question, what is my life going to be like? What is my community going to look like? And that's what we're going to be talking about today. So to start, in particular, we're going to talk about 6 primary areas of campus life at Landmark College and in the Putney, Vermont area. Residential life, athletics, outdoor programs, activities, our leadership programming, and our general community as well. Now we're going to start with residential life, and that's because for most students, residential life is considered the hub of their outside of the classroom life, their co-curricular life on campus. It's an important place for them. It's their home base. It's the first place where they're going to put their things down and create some space that is just their own. So we know that the residential program is an important one, and we pay a lot of attention to it. Now, students on campus have the opportunity to live in a wide range of different housing options during their tenure at the college. We have residential options from traditional residence halls all the way to suite style and apartment style living on campus. So as students progress in their independence and their maturity throughout their program and their degrees at the college, their residential options follow along just the same as well. Every residential area, every residence hall that we have on campus does have community spaces for social time, group studying, more learning that can happen either through discussions, through programming, through educational programs. Every one of our residence halls, or in all of our residence halls, they have direct access to campus safety. Campus safety is actually located up in the residential area. Laundry facilities, fitness centers, dining and campus programming. So much of what a student needs is going to be available right within their residential community. But I would say the most important part of our residential program is actually our residential staff. We have a very robust residential staffing model at Landmark College that really complements and follows the robust model that we have for students in the classroom and through the advising model. Every residential area on campus houses no more than 80 students. And every residential area also has a professional staff member who lives in the residence halls with them. Those professional staff members are called resident deans. You heard Dr. Gibson Sheffield mention them before. And the resident deans work very closely with students' academic advisors, but they also take the time to really get to know students on an individual level so that they can understand when patterns emerge, when behaviors start to emerge. They can really help students understand what's going on, what is at the root of things that might be getting in the way. And their job is also to make sure that the residence halls are really engaging and fulfilling residential experience. So they really are looking to make sure that the community is running well and running smoothly. just a couple of examples of what residential living looks like on campus. This is what students have done to make their residence halls their own. Everybody gets these spaces to personalize and customize, and I think, as you can see, everybody does take the time to really make their spaces their own. This slide that you're seeing, this picture you're seeing before you right now, is a picture of the living room in one of our Bridges suites, where upper-class students live on campus. So next, we want to talk about our athletic program. Very similar to residential life, we have a very robust and very comprehensive athletic program on campus. We feel that for many students, participation in athletics is an important part of their whole life. So we want to make sure that our athletic program really can meet the needs of all of our students in various ways. So we support a number of athletic teams, and soccer, men's and women's basketball, baseball, softball, and cross country. These are our intercollegiate. These are the athletic teams that we support on campus that will play not only other colleges but local leagues as well. We really want to make sure, and we really want to focus on getting the maximum amount of play time for our athletic teams. So they do play other colleges. They will play in local leagues. They will play in some cases faculty and staff as well. Another unique aspect about our athletic program is that we have an all-play or no-cuts policy. If a student wants to be part of an athletic team, if they want to be part of the athletic program, they are able to do that. The only thing that we require is that they follow every part of the expectations of our athletic teams, and that includes showing up to all practices, making sure that you're at every game, making sure that you're meeting the academic standards of our athletic teams, the Gail over there, and making sure that you're a really good team member as well. Now, another great aspect of this all-play or no-cut policy is that many of our students who have spent a lot of time in playing on athletic teams during their high school careers really get to be a mentor to those students who may not have had that opportunity, but now can be on an athletic team finally in their collegiate career. Now, for students that don't have or don't want the commitment of an athletic team, we offer a range of intramural opportunities for students throughout the week, throughout the semester. So students, if they don't want to commit to a team, they can play basketball, softball, dodgeball, volleyball, floor hockey, ultimate frisbee. There are lots of other opportunities and lots of other intramurals that our athletic team comes up with. These are weekly events that students can come down to either by themselves or with their floor mates or together with other friends, and really participate in some athletic and wellness opportunities on campus. And then finally, for individuals who are into physical fitness and wellness, we have 3 fitness centers on campus. 2 of them are up in the residence centers. And then it goes without saying that our proudest aspect of our athletic program is Charles Drake Field. We cut the ribbon on it two falls ago, 2 academic years ago. Charles Drake Field is our all-weather, artificial turf field that is lined for soccer and for lacrosse play. It has provided a great opportunity for all of our students to participate in longer seasons and more extracurricular intramural activities as well. This is also a great gem of local community as well. A number of schools and colleges actually come to Landmark College to use Charles Drake Field. Next up after our athletic program is our outdoor program. It's part of our athletics, fitness, and recreation department that provides a lot of opportunities for students to engage in activities that ask them to step a little bit outside of their comfort zone and challenge themselves in ways that they may not have challenged themselves before. This includes the activities such as mountain biking, rock climbing, snowshoeing, cross-country skiing, hiking, kayaking, rafting, indoor skydiving that's done at a facility off campus, alpine skiing, snow tubing, ice climbing, and sled dog presentations as well. So with the combination of a lot of on-campus and off-campus programming, we provide a lot of outdoor programs and adventure programs for students to take advantage of as well. The thought is that once students try to step outside their comfort zone, to take some risks that they've never taken before, and to see some success there, if the student says, well, if I can be successful here, maybe there's other places on campus and other ways I can be successful that I never thought I could before as well. That's one of the primary outcomes and primary goals of our outdoor programs program. A lot of the things that we do in outdoor programs will require some equipment, but we have lots of equipment here on campus that students can borrow from our athletic center. Those include mountain bikes, some snowshoes, and other equipment that we hold here that students can use. And now we're moving on to student activities. The big question, as always, what is there to do on campus and off campus in Putney, Vermont? And we've got a really good answer for that. So first of all, many of the activities, or just about most of the activities that are sponsored on campus and are on campus, are done by our students and planned by our students, primarily through our Campus Activities Board. The Campus Activities Board, or CAB, is known for coming together to create, implement, and execute all of our major activities that are on campus. And we have a major activity just about every weekend. These include Fall Fest, Spring Flings, dances, our coffee houses, city trips, and different event trips as well. So we can include a lot of things that are happening on campus, but it can also include a bus trip to New York City to get into the city for the day, to explore the city with friends or meet up with some family down there, and then come back to campus later on. We also have lots of event trips as well, so conferences and other events that happen in Boston and New York, our students have an interest in, and we arrange some trips down there. A lot of them focus around things like Comic-Con or trips like that. Next, I want to talk about leadership on campus. We really want to provide opportunities for students to develop themselves as leaders on campus. We want to support what's happening in the classroom in this area, and we want to help students engage and use their leadership skills in practical ways on campus. We're really pleased to say that over 25% of students hold a leadership position on campus at some point during their tenure at Landmark College. And these include positions such as serving as a resident assistant, an orientation leader, a student government association member or executive board member, peer mentors in the residence halls, campus ambassadors, club leaders, and team captains as well. Something I do want to mention that I didn't mention before about our residential program is our resident assistant program. Now, I mentioned the resident deans as the professional staff members that live in the residence halls and make sure that the residence halls are a safe, secure, engaging place to live. They can only do that because of the support of resident assistants. Every residence hall has 3 RAs, or resident assistants, living there as well, working with the RDs and the students to make that community an engaging, supportive, and helpful community as well. We have developed at Landmark College leadership competencies. So every program that I mentioned before, as we work with students, we work with them in ways through training and programming and program execution to make sure that we're helping to support these one of these 6 leadership competency areas: communication, problem solving, influence, project management, teamwork, and understanding their agency, how they impact their self and others. These leadership competencies are an excellent example of how the academic program and student affairs program work together, because it's our academic and student affairs deans and directors that came together and developed these competencies that are really complementary to not only the academic curriculum that we have, but the outcomes that we're looking for in residential and student life on campus. And then finally, I wanted to talk just in general about community on campus. One of the things that is amazing to see every semester, and no semester has ever disappointed, is how students come together and make connections with each other while they're on campus. We know that students, when they come to Landmark College, they realize they're part of a community that they've never really had the chance to be part of before. That everybody at Landmark College has a similar story and experience of what they've had in the past. And what might have made them feel different elsewhere is what makes them feel part of the community and makes them feel a sense of togetherness and belongingness here. Now, we know through different surveys that we've had that scale nationally that students at Landmark College feel a great sense of belongingness. They see themselves as part of the community. They think that we are very much taking care of their emotional well-being on campus, that we're listening to everything that they have to say, and that we encourage really free and open dialogue. We want to make sure we're hearing our students, we're listening to our students, and giving a lot of opportunities for students to come forward and talk about their own experience and how we make Landmark College a better community. So we're very proud of the sense of belongingness that students are able to feel on campus. And these are some of the areas and some of the outcomes that we have here. In green, this is what Landmark College students report as their experience. Also part of community on campus is recognizing and celebrating the diversity we have. We are a neurodiverse community, which celebrates diversity in the widest way that we can, but we also want to make sure that all of our students find that they have a place to go and faces that they feel comfortable and familiar with. So recently we've developed our Centers for Diversity and Inclusion on campus, which includes our Rise Up Center, our Stonewall Center, and the Center for Women and Gender. These three centers, in addition to the Center for Neurodiversity on campus, create a lot of opportunities for student leadership, student mentorship, student advocacy, and programming and educational programming that occur on campus as well. And just another note, at the end of their tenure at Landmark, students, when they leave, some of their greatest connections are not with where they lived on campus or a particular class. It's in their entire experience, and most importantly, with the students that they went through their Landmark College program, the alumni, the students that they're most connected to here. Those connections are lasting long after they leave physically on campus, and it's creating a great sense of community all over the world and all over the country as well. So, in a nutshell, that is Landmark College life on campus. I've gone through just a few areas. We also have certainly areas around campus safety, counseling, health and wellness, new student orientation, our student conduct programs, and we have a very robust social pragmatic program as well, which helps support students who might have difficulty integrating and socializing at the college because they've had that same difficulty in high school as well. So at this time, I'm certainly happy to take any questions that you might have about campus life on campus.
So Mike, that's a good segue, because we have two related questions about what supports are there socially to help a student get involved and make friends outside the classroom, and what support is there for students who have been socially awkward during high school, who had trouble making social connections.
Okay. So how does social life work? How does social connections work on campus? Well, it's kind of built into how we have developed our programs. So the residential staff, from the beginning, from orientation all throughout the first semester and all throughout their time at Landmark College, will be working with students to help students make connections for themselves. It can be difficult at the beginning of college, in the first semester, especially in the first weeks. So the residential staff will really look to help students make connections with each other. Now, as Dr. Gibson Sheffield said before, we don't go and knock on doors and drag people out of their rooms, but we do notice when students are having difficulty making connections, and we help facilitate those connections as well. For some of our students who have a harder time making connections, our social pragmatics program and services help students do just that. We have programming that is as simple as passive as having group community dinners. So a student will always know that when they go in to have dinner or have lunch, there's going to be a table where they are welcome to sit down, that everybody will know them, they'll know exactly how it works. It's one of the biggest things and biggest concerns that some students have when they go off to college and they don't know anybody. It's not about the classes, they feel like they can do that, not necessarily about the residence halls, but it's who am I going to sit with when I walk into the dining hall and I don't know anybody. This program is our community dinner program. It's really meant to help students go to that place until they feel comfortable enough to start making connections with others and branching off on their own. For students that need a little more support, our early orientation program and our peers program help students develop social literacies that they may have not had the experience with in high school or previously. This includes opportunities to meet each other in groups, to practice social exchanges, to understand how to make friends and how to keep friends. It's a very specific program that we have. We've had a lot of success with it, and more our students are signing up for it as well.
Michael, another question related to your athletic discussion, which you may have partially answered, but someone is asking if we have skiing at the college.
So skiing is one program that we don't have a formal athletic team for, but we do run ski trips, run shuttle buses to the mountains during the winter as well. So if you're a student that doesn't have a car and doesn't have a way to get to the mountain, there is a way to get there to enjoy skiing. What we have found is that a lot of students, once they start making connections with each other, by the time the snow hits the ground, they've made connections with other skiers, and they're off on their own with their friends.
Great. Someone is asking, what is the community like at Landmark College? Is it strong, and how would you describe it?
So I would say that the community is strong at Landmark College. First, with our students. All of our students here are committed to being here. They quickly they start to make connections with friends and colleagues and other students, usually in ways that they've never had the opportunity to do that before. So our student connections are very strong. We provide a lot of opportunities for them to spend time with their friends. We look to create affinity groups on campus. Those are the groups that have particular interest areas where students can cluster around. Now, whether that's through the radio station, through the campus activities board, through athletics or intramurals, through a club or other activities that are on campus, students will tend to start to cluster very quickly to that which is very important to them and that which they find enjoyable on campus. Students will also find very committed faculty and staff at Landmark College that will always be available to listen, to provide direct and really serious and upfront support and feedback to them. And students know very quickly that the faculty and staff are just as invested in their success as they are. But we need them to work just a little harder than we do to make success.
Michael, one of the families wants to know what sets Landmark apart from other schools who have LD support programs.
So the question is, what sets Landmark College apart from other schools that have learning disabilities and students that learn differently? And I would say it's really in our comprehensive model. Everything that we're doing here is built into the DNA and the operation of the college. Nothing here is an add-on. Nothing here is a program that a student has to then seek out and provides some extra effort to get the support that they need. It's really a comprehensive model that really works with students from the moment they step on campus to understand the student, to understand where their strengths are, to understand where difficulty or obstacles might arise, and to really work from a strengths-based perspective to help students get past obstacles and make progress. So it's really because it's a comprehensive model versus getting support from this office or that office.
Michael, someone's asking, what is TAC?
What is TAC? Very good question. So TAC is our new program for incoming students. It's called the Transition at College program. And that program is specifically for students and families who feel like the student may need a little extra support in the area of executive function and transition to college. It was envisioned by us as an option for families and students who might be thinking of a post-grad year or a transition gap year, but really wanted to get started at college as well. So we packaged everything up in the same package all together into one program. So we're providing the support that a gap year, the support and the programming that a gap year or transition year program has, but we're doing it right here on campus so students can get started with their college experience.
Michael, they're asking, where is Landmark College and how do you get there?
Oh, Landmark College is located in southern Vermont, in Putney, Vermont. We are actually closely located to towns and cities in Massachusetts, Vermont, and New Hampshire. So we're in an area that not only provides a good opportunity to be in your tranquil, peaceful New England a quintessential town, but also you're not that far away from larger towns and cities that have the hustle and bustle that sometimes students are looking for on campus. We have an environment and an area that students can take advantage of lots of things, indoors and out. The southern Vermont area has great things to do both during the summer and the winter, and we look to help students do that all year round.
Is it easy to get there?
Yeah, it is easy to get here. We're close to a number of different airports. The one our students use the most is Bradley International Airport in Hartford, Vermont. It's about 90 minutes away. Manchester, Boston, a regional airport, and Boston Logan Airport as well are within 90 minutes to 2 hours, 2.5 hours away. We actually also provide shuttle services on the major travel days from Bradley International Airport to Landmark College. So we're trying to make it as easy as possible for students to, once they land on campus, to get back to campus and to get back to their home in southern Vermont.
I was just going to mention, Michael, we're getting some really nice alumni comments on the Facebook feed, and some people saying, "Hi, Dean Luciani is the best." But we have an alum saying, "I love my time I did at Landmark. I graduated in December 2009, and I would do it again in a heartbeat if I had to. I built many great friends that I still talk to today, and also many teachers I still talk to today."
Thanks, Mark, and thanks for all the alums that are chiming in here. There's no better outcome for us than a comment like that, where we know that their experience here was as best it could be for them, and that they're taking everything that they learned here, their entire experience, and really launching into the next chapter of their lives. So thanks to the alums who are chiming in.
One of the moms says she noticed it seems to be an awful lot of dogs in pictures on the campus website.
There are a lot of dogs on campus, and that's with intention. We are proud and we are very pleased that we are able to support a therapy dog program on campus with 6 therapy dogs that work with students in all different areas of their lives. So these dogs are here just about every day. There's at least 3 dogs on campus every day, but there are a lot of different personalities in the dogs that students can interact with. So of all the therapy dogs that we have here on campus, you might meet Winston in the Click Center, the Click Sports Center, who loves to play soccer with students, soccer and tug and fetch. You might run into Snickers in the library, who just really likes to come right up to you and get a good scratch behind the ears. But of all the dogs that we have on campus, they have great personalities. The students love them. And they're really meant for students to just engage with, to take a few minutes out of their day to enjoy some time with a very friendly, very non-judgmental dog that is going to do nothing but appreciate the time that they're spending with them.
So we have a question that maybe is suited for Gail, but I don't know, maybe you can answer it, Michael. How many credit hours do students normally take per semester?
That's a Gail question.
I put my head in. On average, our students take about 12 credits per semester. Some actually have also dropped back to take 9 at a time, depending on what they're able to handle. We also offer programs in coursework in J term, which is the January semester, and in summer sessions. And that's a way that keeps students kind of caught up so that they can still complete their degree on time, even though they're taking less credit per semester.
And we have a few people asking how many students attend Landmark.
The Landmark College community is about 420 students. Most of them, only about 10 students will actually live off campus. So most students live on campus in one of our residence halls or suite areas. The students that live off campus usually do so because they're already living there as well.
6 to 1, Michael.
6 to 1.
It's every faculty member.
Oh, okay, so the ratio. All right, that wasn't quite clear. So the ratio of students to faculty and staff is 6 to 1 on campus.
All right.
All right. Well, I want to thank you for all your time and attention for this part of the presentation. It's now my pleasure to throw things over to Sydney Ruff, who is our Director of Admissions.
Hi, everyone. Again, my name's Sydney. I am the Director of Admissions. I'm also an alum of the school, and I'm here today to talk to you about the application that you'll want to submit as part of the application process. Whether you're applying for a summer program, one of our associate or bachelor's degrees, this process is pretty simple. When you go onto our website, you can click the Apply Now section, and a full list of the documents that we'll be talking about today are available. So first off, you'll want to submit the application itself. And that is meant for the student to fill out and complete on their own. In addition to that, you will submit an application fee of $75 if you do the paper application. If you choose to do the online application, that fee is waived. As a part of the document itself, there will also be a personal statement. The personal statement is a great way for you to show yourself in a lot of different ways. You can choose to either write about it, and I wouldn't put a number as to how many words you need for that personal statement. We'd rather see you write a paragraph or 2. You're welcome to write more, just describing your own background and your learning experiences. School information. We'll want to know, we'll want to receive an official high school transcript. And that's something that you can easily request from your high school, and they'll send directly to us, usually by postal mail. And then you'll also want to submit an official college transcript of any college work that you've completed. And that's really important, particularly if you have if you're in high school and you're taking a dual enrollment through another college, even though it's still considered dual enrollment for high school, ask that college to send us an official college transcript as well. That's just helpful. We do ask for an official diagnosis of a learning disability, as well as cognitive and achievement testing. That can be submitted through what we call a psychoeducational evaluation. Sometimes it's called a neuropsych evaluation, or it can be included as a part of your IEP. The diagnosis itself is usually something around like a traditional learning disability, such as dyslexia or dyscalculia. We also see ADHD, as well as autism spectrum disorder. And those are really the three main categories. And that's usually a part of the psychoeducational report that's submitted. So we need that full report. The cognitive testing can be done through what we call, well, we use a few different ones. One is called the Wechsler. That's very common. Another one is the Woodcock-Johnson. And very similar to the achievement testing, which assesses a student's reading, writing, math, and critical thinking abilities. And those are very similar as well. There's a full list of what we can take on our website. And if you have never received a diagnosis or you don't have the psychoeducational testing, we do have an alternative, and that alternative just would mean that the student would submit a statement indicating what they've struggled in specifically in the past, maybe in school, in addition to what they're looking for in Landmark as far as support. Usually that statement is around 3 to 4 sentences, and that's just something that you could submit either in an email or in a document when you send with your application itself. We would recommend you submitting one letter of recommendation, and the letter of recommendation is really helpful when it comes from someone that knows you in school. So usually a teacher or even an advisor or a guidance counselor or college counselor would be our first kind of picks as far as who you could select in that. If you don't have anyone that you know academically that can provide a letter of recommendation, then you could go to maybe a manager that you've worked for. Really, we're very open to accepting any form of a letter of recommendation. We do recommend that you have an interview as a part of this process. Most of our interviews are done either by phone or by video. And some students prefer one or the other. We don't have a preference. Just what you think you do best on is great. We also, if it works out, we'd love to see you on campus, and we can complete that interview right during the same time of your visit if that's something that you want. But certainly you don't need to do that. And we know that nerves can be a factor, so don't feel that pressure that you have to do it just by visiting campus that same day. Students can also submit their SAT or ACT scores. Those are not required, but they can certainly provide another piece to the puzzle that could either showcase either a strength and maybe also a weakness. For some students, they do much better with standardized testing than they might in what they would consider to be good in, let's say their high school classes may not have gone the way that they wanted them to, but maybe their SATs were much stronger. That would be a reason to possibly submit. We don't require the IEP to be submitted, but it certainly can be if you would like. It can certainly tell us a little bit more about what type of academic support the student has received in school. And then, so that's really the application itself and the whole process. Once you submit, our admissions team will reach out to you directly, and they'll ask any additional questions that we might have from our end, but we also really encourage you to interview us as a part of the process. Learn about the school, ask questions. We like to be, it's very much an individualized process, and our team does a really great job at making sure that you feel supported and you have every answer that you need when you need it. I'm trying to, we're on rolling admissions. So that means that you can apply at any time. We are still accepting applications for the fall semester, which starts in just a couple of weeks, but that is plenty of time to get through the application process and make sure that we can make Landmark a part of your future for this fall. If you're looking at another term, you can submit your application for the spring start. That would start at the end of January. We use that term spring loosely. and then we also have summer programs, and that application is online and usually we'll start to see the most amount of summer applications beginning in January-ish. Fall application, if you're thinking about fall 2020, the best time to start your application process is now. A great time to get that application started is while you're still on summer break, and when you get back to school, you can start submitting all of those documents and you'll kind of be ahead of that curve. Does anyone have any questions?
So we do have a question relative to what you just said about fall.
Sure.
We have a parent asking about the transfer process. My son won't be going back to the college he currently attends this fall. Is it too late to apply for fall semester, which you just told us it's not, but what is the transfer process like?
Sure. So the transfer process we try and make as simple as possible. So you would still submit the documents that we just went over. But as a part of the process, when you submit your official college transcript, after you receive a decision from us, you would also receive a transfer evaluation from our registrar. And that would tell you exactly what classes would transfer and which ones might not. Generally speaking, if you're receiving a C or better in a class that we offer here, as well as what was offered previously at your school, that generally will transfer, so long as it was from an accrediting college. But we can give you an initial assessment just as a part of the application process when you work with one of our admissions counselors, but we make it as simple as we can. And the process, if you're applying for fall, as soon as you submit that last document, we would like to make a decision within 3 to 4 days. And so we can get you that turnaround can be very quick, and it still gives you plenty of time to apply for financial aid if you're doing so, which I guess I would recommend doing as a part of the application process at this point. But then we can get you through making sure that you have housing, and there is still plenty of space for that as well.
Another question on the other side of the transfer question. For a student who comes to Landmark for a short term, someone is asking what colleges and universities have they or do they matriculate into after they leave?
So our students are, well, I'll start a little bit before that. So as a part of a student's, I guess, process in Landmark, they'll learn all about what they can do as far as their next steps. And so part of that process might be working with our Career Connections office that can work with a student in identifying not just the right schools, but also helping a student make sure that that school has the support that would make them successful. And so our Career Connections office really does work very closely with a student in that process, helping them with the application and possibly making sure that they're good for an interview. And where they go, I think is really an important factor is they're going all over. They're ready to go anywhere. So it's not like they can only go into certain programs. We do tend to see students that are looking for support services, but they're not needing that same level of support that they might have previously because of how well we're preparing them to succeed at that next step. Does that answer the question?
What's the acceptance rate?
Sure. The acceptance rate at Landmark is right around 50%. And that means that we are selective, but we are making sure that a student is not just capable and that has the ability to attend Landmark, but they're also making sure that we're not asking them to jump into something that they're not prepared for. So we don't want that gap to be too big. So that's kind of one of the reasons that we do have all of those documents and we make it such an individualized process. We really want to make sure that this is what the student is ready for and can handle. Any other questions?
Sydney, we have a question asking, what about students who are exempt from SAT and ACT testing?
Sure. So the SATs and ACTs are not required. So that's fine if you're exempt from it. We don't necessarily need to know that you're exempt, but if you feel like that's a part, an important piece that we should know, then certainly let your admissions counselor know, and they can kind of work with you in making sure that we have all the other information that we need.
One of the moms wants to know, how do you schedule a visit and when can you come see the college?
Sure, great question. When can you come for a visit? Monday through Friday, we do visits during the day. You just have to call the admissions office or send us an email. There's also a way to schedule that visit directly from our website. Generally speaking, we do a tour twice a day, and then you usually would then have a visit with an admissions counselor afterwards to discuss any further questions or to outline the next steps in whatever process that you're moving forward with us in. But it's a great time to also ask any lingering questions that possibly weren't answered as a part of the tour, but would be very specific to your own student and or family's concerns. All right, so thank you all so much for participating. I would like to introduce Erin Craw, who's our Associate Director of Financial Aid.
Thank you, Sydney. My name is Erin, and I'm the Associate Director of Financial Aid, filling in today for our Director, Michael Mertes, who couldn't be here. Before I jump into all the funding sources, one thing I want to mention is that the only application required for financial aid at Landmark is the free application for federal student aid, the FAFSA. It can be found at www.fafsa.ed.gov. And while families don't have to complete it, it really helps us to determine what students are eligible for. We actually offer a number of different types of funding, including federal financial aid, which includes both grants, the Pell Grant, and Supplemental Education Opportunity Grant, or for short, the SEOG, as well as federal student loans and Parent Plus loans. We do consider loans to be a part of the financial aid package after students have completed the FAFSA. As well, we also offer institutional grants and scholarships, and it's really the backbone of our financial aid program because we are able to offer so much to families. The very first thing that families or students are considered for is the Presidential Scholarship, which is awarded during the admissions process. So this is the one scholarship you don't have to complete the FAFSA for. It goes up to about $10,000 per year. A minimum would be about $4,000 per year. And every student who applies receives some form of this scholarship. After that, most of our scholarships are need-based. This does require the FAFSA. Families would receive up to about $27,000 per year on top of their President's Council scholarship. And this is meant to help families meet that cost of attending the school. For a small school, we're really proud of the endowed scholarships that we're able to offer to students. Three in particular include the Access to Innovative Education scholarships, specifically for the STEM program, but also for students in other courses of study. The one thing to keep in mind, while the FAFSA is our only required application, if students would like to be considered for the STEM scholarships, they do need to complete the application that's available online. So Beyond what the school can offer and federal programs, a number of states offer different programs for their students, and some even allow students to take those out of state. The Vermont Student Assistance Corporation for students from Vermont, as an example, provides some scholarships ranging up to $6,000 per year. Any family is also able to request loans from VSAC, regardless of whether or not they're from Vermont. Other states that offer some nice grants are Massachusetts, and Rhode Island has a great student loan program as well. Something that's different for our students in particular when it comes to state aid is the vocational rehabilitation grants that some states offer. You would need to really Google vocational rehabilitation or voc rehab departments in your home state. The state is responsible for administering these programs. We've had a number of students from states like New York, California, New Hampshire, Connecticut sometimes, and Arizona, just as a couple of examples, be really successful in getting either large grants that go towards tuition or maybe the cost of a computer or books covered through these state programs. Finally, we also participate in veterans benefits programs, including Chapter 33 and 35, and we have a yellow ribbon match up to $20,000. Probably the most unique thing about our financial aid program that is particularly of interest to families who may think they don't qualify for need-based scholarships and will end up paying a lot of their costs out of pocket is our medical tax deduction. It's actually not ours, it's a federal tax deduction. And because everything, I know you've heard this a million times already today, but everything that Landmark does is specific to students with learning differences. Every cost associated with attending the school is kind of like fulfilling a prescription for the diagnosis that a student may have. So as long as there is a written diagnosis and you can have a doctor write a letter to that effect, you can claim all of the costs associated with Landmark claimed on your federal tax deductions for the year, which is pretty nice considering the cost of attendance can be upwards of $70,000. We have a lot of information about the tax deduction on our website. We also bring some folks to campus, an accountant to campus every spring and fall to discuss the option of the tax deduction with parents. There is a wonderful PDF of their presentation on our website, as well as IRS documents that you can take to your accountant or tax advisor to help you with this process. Does anyone have questions?
Yes, we have a question about the timeline for applying for financial aid. Specifically, mom is asking about applying for spring semester and if it's too soon to do that and also too soon to apply for financial aid for spring.
Absolutely not too soon to apply, either for admissions or for completing the FAFSA and having it submitted. We can't offer financial aid until you've completed and been admitted to the college. The 1920 FAFSA will be available through the course of the academic year, so you can really complete that at any time. You're going to use your 2017 taxes, so that information should be pretty readily available to you. And I totally encourage families to use the IRS data retrieval tool to make that even simpler. For next fall, I should say that the FAFSA will be available October 1st, and it's never too soon to complete it as long as you have your tax information.
We also have a viewer in Texas who's asking if you are aware of any Texas-based state aid.
I am not, and it's funny because I was just looking at a Texas student today and I was like, I wonder if Texas provides any voc rehab funds. No, I don't know, but it's definitely worth Googling and looking at your state resources. You can both look for vocational rehabilitation funds and look for your higher education authority for the state of Texas. We are happy to have conversations with you also if you want to give us a call to try and narrow down that search.
And you may have partially answered this already, but we have a question about scholarships that would be available specifically for incoming freshmen.
So the nice thing about our financial aid is that because we're rolling, all of our financial aid is given out and available to students on a rolling basis. There are no specific scholarships for freshman students or first-year students, but that's actually a benefit because everyone is treated equally. We do say that anyone who applies as a first-year student, their aid is renewable for all 2 or 4 years that they decide to come back, as long as there aren't any huge dramatic changes in their financial situation, I should say. Like if you win the lottery, we might reconsider. Anything else?
Would you say that a Landmark College education is affordable?
Well, yes. I think it takes a lot of parts and pieces to put together the affordability for every family. I think that means something different to every family. We offer a lot of institutional scholarship money to students, and we understand, just like families understand that not every school is a perfect fit for their student, we understand that the FAFSA is not a perfect fit for every financial aid situation. So we definitely encourage families to get in touch with us to talk through their financial situation, whether you've gotten a job in the last 2 years or lost a job in the last 2 years, or you have extenuating circumstances at home that wouldn't be represented on the FAFSA. You should definitely give us a call and we'll try and talk you through how we can handle those situations. The key is always starting with the basic information that the FAFSA asks for. So definitely do that first because we can always help you from there. And I think that one of the affordability pieces, as someone who took student loans for both my undergraduate and graduate degrees, I think that loans can play a part in that, and we try and work with families to make sure that they're if needed, they're taking on loans that they'll be able to pay for later.
We have a question about what is included with tuition.
What is included with tuition? I think it's easier to say what's not included in tuition. So tuition is $59,100 for this academic year. That doesn't include your room and board. It doesn't include your books or your computer or your health insurance. Everything else is included in the cost of tuition. So it's your classroom, it's the coaching services you heard about earlier, it's counseling services, your athletic programs. Sometimes for some of those fancy trips Dean Luciani talked about, there may be a small additional fee for a shuttle or for a ride to Boston, but really the tuition cost is all inclusive of the academic experience.
Thank you very much. Hello again, everyone. I hope you're enjoying the virtual open house. How's it going so far? What? Anybody want to give an answer?
We do have an academic question if Gail would like to take the...
Gail, come on over and join me. Come on over on the couch.
It's a question
Hi,
about...
Kevin. Hi,
Yeah.
hi, welcome. Hello, what can we do for you today?
Our talk show starts next week.
Foreign languages at the college, what's available and what is needed from the student in terms of ACT, SAT.
As you heard before, in terms of our admissions process, SATs, ACTs are not required. They're optional, and so that isn't anything we look at. We do offer foreign language courses. We don't offer majors in foreign language, so it's predominantly at an introductory level. We've done languages in Spanish and French and Italian and sign language. In the past, oftentimes it's driven by student interest. So depending on, as you work with your advisor and think about the kind of coursework that you want to do, we take that into consideration when we're planning our semester courses, and we will look to meet your needs.
Merci beaucoup.
And we haven't answered your question, Kevin. Very much enjoying it.
All right, great. Well, if you liked it so far, you're going to love the next segment. because you know who's coming in next?
The students.
The students. So we have our student panel, and it is led by Sydney Ruff, who is going to introduce the students, and they're going to come over here. They're going to talk a little bit about their experience, and they're going to open up for questions. So I hope you have lots of questions for them. All right?
They're the best. The students, come on in.
And we have a special guest.
Snickers. No, come here, buddy. Come here, Snickers.
Come here. Hi, everyone. So I'm back, and it's my pleasure to introduce the students today, and of course, one of our favorite therapy dogs, Snickers. The students are each going to present a little bit on who they are and a little bit behind their story. And then we'll definitely open it up to some questions. And so we'll start right off with Lauren.
Hi guys, so my name is Lauren. I'm 20 years old. I'm from a small town called Yarmouth, Maine, and I have autism, specifically PDD-NOS, anxiety, and then major depressive disorder. So I was diagnosed with PDD-NOS at the age of 9. I always knew there was something different about me, but we couldn't just figure out what it was just yet. I got my first IEP when I was in 6th grade, and it helped a little bit, but it wasn't what I needed. In high school, it just got worse. I wasn't able to get the right supports. I needed more time processing stuff auditorily. And it turned out my grades got so bad, they didn't even know I was going to walk in at graduation until 4 days before I did. Also, special ed was really hard for me. I was in a middle of a room, and on our doors, it had giant windows. So whenever students walked by, I felt like I was in a giant zoo exhibit for everybody to see. And so I came to Landmark in the fall of 2018. I did early orientation, and it was really good for me. I was able to process the campus a little bit more with like a smaller crowd and all of that.
Don't mind me.
I know, it's my thinking.
We're trying to get Snickers right in the middle of the both videos. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, Lauren.
It's okay. Anyways, so I came in the fall of 2018. Early orientation was great. It was about 50 of us kids on campus, and we came in 2 days before all the other kids did. And so I was able to have a smaller environment and meet a few people that were going to live in my building with me for the academic year. And so when I first came here, I wanted to just focus on my grades and just getting through my first semester before I even attempted to get a job. I didn't even think I was going to be able to get a job here on campus, let alone at any college. So it was really exciting when I got my first job here, and that was a campus ambassador for the spring of 2019. It's probably been one of my favorite jobs ever. And then in March, I got hired to be a residential assistant when one of the other RAs stepped down. And so in less than a week, I was hired to move into a building and work in Stonehall. I'm here right now. I'm getting my associates in liberal studies, and then I'm right now in the bachelor's for studio art. I'm thinking of changing that though, because I've got 2 goals right now. One of them is to either be an admissions counselor here for Landmark or at another school, or to be an animator for Disney.
So can you tell me a little bit about your early orientation experience with Landmark and describe what that is like for our students?
Yeah, so early orientation, you come in, it's like a selected group that's come in. It's not just like sign me up, coach. You're selected to do it. And so you come in like 2 days before, you get moved into your room with your roommates, or if you have a single, you can move into your single. And so it involved us like doing tours of the campus, having presentations with Gail and Michael as well. So we did all of that, and we had John Elder Robinson, right? He came in and he did a keynote speech for all of us kids, and it was really, really awesome because all of us were like cheering because we had someone that actually understood what we went through, and they were adults. And so we got like tours of the campus, we did activities to get to know each other, and then the other kids came in and we went through the orientation process again. So we picked up on stuff we may have missed the first time, and I thought that was really, really helpful.
And Lauren is a part of one of our new programs called the Peers Program. Could you tell them a little bit about what that is?
So Peers is a new group that Landmark formed. It's called Peers for Young Adults, and it's like this class that students have the option to go to. And it's basically like a class that helps you to keep and make friends. Like we do voicemails, like how to leave a voicemail for somebody, how to answer calls with somebody, joining a group conversation, appropriate use of humor. I definitely, that was a great thing to learn for me.
Mastered it.
But that class is always really fun. It was with Sally Banta and Max Little, and they ran the class for about an hour. It was once a week. There were different times throughout the week so that you can make it work with your schedule. And we did some of this stuff, like we interacted and did it ourselves, but then we also watched people do it on a TV screen so we could actually visually see what was happening with them and what was expected in that scenario, what was not good, if the person would even want to talk to that other person again. And we watched wrong scenarios as well as right scenarios.
Great, thank you. Shoshana, do you want to go next?
Sure. Hello, my name is Shoshana. I'm 22. I am from San Jose, California. Also, I do live in Houston now. I came to Landmark in 2015. I am now in my junior year at Landmark. I'm doing the bachelor's program for liberal arts and hopefully a minor in business. Growing up, it was already predetermined that I did have dyslexia. I also have ADHD and anxiety.
So tell me a little bit about how you learned about Landmark.
So I learned about Landmark through two teachers in high school. They saw that I was struggling. I did have an IEP. I thought I was okay, and I did get off my IEP in middle school, but then I started struggling in high school. So then I moved in, so I asked for help to get back on my IEP. It was actually harder than we hoped. Luckily, I found two teachers that gave me extra time and were willing to work with me after school for help, because that's what the things that I needed to succeed. These teachers were actually invited to a seminar, I believe, that Landmark was hosting, and then they saw me and they're like, "You should try Landmark." That's how I found Landmark. I applied, and I knew that this school was going to be a good fit due to that everyone had something similar to me, especially my first semester. A lot of students, it felt like if you didn't have more than one learning disability or some type of disability, it was kind of weird, but you were still accepted either way. Like I remember in class, someone was like, "Yeah, I have ADHD, I have dyslexia," and then someone else like, "I have ADS, and I have ADHD, I have anxiety," and you hope to have more than one. So, it's true. And I was like, "Yeah, I have three." So of course, I knew I fit right in from day one. I did accomplish my associates. I went from kind of like C's and D's to B's and C's, which was great. Helped with GPA. I then left for a year to see what my associates can bring me. And then I realized that I really wanted to continue my further education. So I decided to come back to Landmark because I knew that it was going to get harder. And I knew that I needed the help I needed at Landmark. So then I did my, and then I did my first semester coming back. And for the very first time ever, I actually finished with the GPA as a 3.6. I was so proud of myself, made dean's list, and now I know that I can do it. Because I started doing things that people told me I should have done in the beginning. Like just communicate with the teachers. Email them is really effective, especially if you're late on an assignment. Let them know, because these teachers here just want to see you succeed. There's been times where I would be late for an assignment, but then I knew once it's a teacher, they're like, all right, when do you think you can complete it? I use one-on-one help a lot, and also I never miss class. Even if I had to, unless I was really ill, I never missed. Just because missing class is more important than not doing it. I believe because when you're missing what you're actually trying to do. So I would always try to make sure if I did end up missing class, I would try to schedule a meeting with them. Because I can just fill in and hopefully do my thing.
Or maybe both of you, is there a moment that you can remember where you knew Landmark was working? Like maybe it was in your first semester, I call it like a light bulb moment. Was there one of those moments where I was like, yes, this is where I need to be, and like, I'm so glad I made this decision? What was that moment?
So for me, I had two of them. I grew up and I had absolutely no friends. I had two friends and they went to two different schools. So at high school with about 530 kids, I didn't really have any friends. And so I would be alone in classrooms and it wasn't great. But when orientation came, I started making friends at the check-ins when we were going through the stations. And that's when I knew like I could succeed here and I had friends. The other time was when I turned in a paper here in my Perspectives of Learning class. Because with my papers, I only get B's or an occasional A, but I got an A+ on my first paper here. So to get that, I knew that I could do anything at Landmark as long as I put like the effort into it.
For me, social aspects, I didn't feel much of that, but I did feel less anxiety with friends here. Educational-wise, it wasn't until I kind of picked myself up my last two semesters and really worked hard, and left and thinking back, that was really it when I realized that I need to do this, I need to really do that.
So sometimes I like to answer the questions as well. And so my light bulb moment when I was a student here was during one of the foundation courses that you take here. They teach one strategy around reading and writing that's called active reading. And growing up, I was always told that, you know, if you're highlighting 50% or more of your paper, you're not doing it right. Of course, I didn't want to not do something right. So I just stopped highlighting altogether. When I came here, my advisor said, you know, you really respond well to color. And that was true. And she said, I'd like you to start highlighting, only this time I want you to highlight your main ideas in one color, new vocabulary in another, questions another. And I liked that initially because it felt like I was actively doing something with the material. But long term, at the end of a chapter, I would extract the colors and that became my study guide. To this moment, still chill, because it was that big of a deal for me. It changed every element of my academics from that one moment. It took a long time to get there. It wasn't just an overnight, oh, I see how to do it. But it was something that I did a lot of practice with. And eventually when I saw it all come together, it's to this day how I still read everything in my life. So those are some of the things that you kind of explore here. That doesn't mean to say that every student is going to respond to that same level of aha. But you do find something along the way that will work with you. It just takes a little bit of trial and error. Other questions?
You have a question from a mom, and it looks like Shoshana's mom actually jumped in and answered the question. But I'll let you guys answer it as well. A mom is saying that her daughter will be coming here from Texas,
her biggest fear is going here and not knowing anyone. Is there a mentor or a buddy system? And so Shoshana, your mom said that you had a buddy when you got here to help you get settled, and that the residential assistance in each of the dorms also helped with that. So maybe you guys could address that a little bit.
Yes, especially residential assistance. I am also an RA. I am an RA, and during the first, I think the first 6 weeks, students come in as RAs, we try to do activities in the hall, we try to do every other hall, have some RAs travel to our off days. To do a quick date. I remember one semester as an RA, there was one hall that had good confidence strategies, and it was like a big group of people, it was the biggest we ever seen. That's very useful. Also, we do have a buddy system. Roommates are always great. My roommate has from my first semester, but I did have and I became great friends with them, still friends with them today, even though it's not in the grandma anymore. We were able to fund ourselves with we were helping ask a bunch of questions, what your life is like, what you happen. So that way we could share up with someone and not really match your person's personality, and I got lucky. So it was
What are some of the events that you put on as a part of the residential?
Some of them that I've done in the past, my favorite one was this January was the cookout. I was an RA at the children's breakfast. And we were able to do a cookout and a barbecue. Previous students that we had, we did burgers and hot dogs and had music, all these things, hung out and ate. It was some of the other ones that we've done in summer video game night. Me and another RA on video games. You know what? We started filming and we had a lot of cool fun places. That's how Smash Bros started? That's how Smash Bros started. It still goes on. Smash Bros like the biggest video game ever on campus right now. Specifically Smash in the common areas. There's about 4 or 5 days like that. Yeah.
There's a question about what there is to do options.
So there's a lot of good stuff that you can offer not exactly. It's relatively. Also in Bradford, which is like a 15-minute drive here, there is a bowling alley, downtown area with a movie theater, and like the open settles there. In Bradford, there. So that was a time down the road. There's some into the day. They really just rent all this time. So it's more my mom, so it's a lot of fun. You know, favorite friends. Sorry, mom. So I would say I'm going now. Yeah. And then of course we usually providers like that don't have.
You've been really teaching at college. He's just telling us he's kind of done something. So we're also going to say thank you so much for tuning in.
So thank you all. And again, if you can, please schedule a visit here at Landmark College first. While I'm sure you've enjoyed talking with us and doing it virtually, there's nothing better than seeing it for yourself. So come for a visit. We have open houses in the fall. Anything else that we have sitting near you. Thanks a lot.